tomorrow. For the very latest details on this, let's speak to Middle East policy analyst Harley Lippman. Harley, thank you for joining us. A bit of a gear change here from parenting and domestic politics and crime to very important international news. So what do you think the president is going to say at his top-level Situation Room meeting tomorrow?
I think military action will resume. I think that the president is exasperated that Iran is just not serious with negotiations. And in a sense, this is actually a good outcome because I think people who are watching the situation see that Iran is playing games. They're issuing ridiculous demands of the United States to pay reparations to Iran for the damage caused in this military conflict, and they want the United States to guarantee that America and Israel will never attack Iran again, et cetera, et cetera. The list goes on. So I think that even if you question why the United States went to war against Iran, we are where we are. And I think it's time for the United States to employ its full military force and try to bring this to some closure before we have serious world economic crisis occurring because of the high price of oil and other reasons.
Yeah, we've had a warning actually in the early hours of the morning here in the UK. Sorry, over in the UK in just the last couple of hours from Yvette Cooper, our Home Secretary, who's saying that actually we need to be concerned about the fact that we are going to have a food crisis because of the price of fertilizer going up. And she said it has to come through the Straits of Hormuz, our Foreign Secretary. Sorry, and so. How pressing will this become for President Trump to hear these issues from British politicians saying that British people are going to start going hungry?
No, it's a great point, and I was going to mention it. I'm glad you did. It's not just the price of oil, but as you mentioned, fertilizer, helium, so many other goods that go through the Strait of Hormuz have been blocked now for a long period of time, and it's putting huge pressure on the supply chain in Europe, as you mentioned, food in Great Britain, among other things. So it's not sustainable to continue the status quo, meaning that the United States blockades the strait by not letting Iran export oil, which is how they're getting their money to fight this war and fund their regime. And by doing so, the United States is depriving Iran of about $500 million a day, which is a very good thing. The problem is that could take months for it to finally break this regime. And no one seems to have the time or patience to be able to wait months. So the United States is going to have to do something because the pressure is building up. And I think that Iran is just trying to play for time as they do. And they're going to try to manipulate the United States. They're counting on the left in America to bail them out. If you watch the American media, the left has already said that America has lost. They're basically championing the cause of Iran, as tragic and sad as that is. They're so obsessed with hating President Trump that they can't get over their hatred. And they don't realize that while they celebrate a Trump failure, they don't realize that it would be an American failure.
We're hearing tonight, Harley, that Iran is discussing putting a $50 million, that's about £43 million bounty on President Trump's head. How realistic is that? What could the repercussions of that be?
Again, in a strange sort of way, I would welcome it only because this will only provoke the president to do what he really needs to do. I'm not in favor of a bounty on the head of anyone, certainly not President Trump. But by doing so, they're only provoking him even more. And they have tried to assassinate President Trump twice. And it may be worth reminding the viewers why we are at war with Iran. You know, not since 1979 has any nation in the world been more obsessed with destroying America and the West than Iran is. They, attacked the American Marine compound in Lebanon. They've killed hundreds of Americans. They blew up the American embassy in Beirut, and they bled America in Afghanistan and in Iraq. They trained and supported the insurgents and the fighters when America went to war in Afghanistan and Iraq, and they're responsible for a huge number of casualties. So, the list goes on. They're the center of world terrorism. What does that cost the world? It has cost the world over $1 trillion as nations have to defend themselves from terrorism, where the headquarters is from Iran. On every level you look at it, I'll add another one. Look at what they've done. The largest massacre in Persian history, murdering about 40,000 of their own people, defenseless people, shooting them, chasing them into hospitals while they're on operating tables and shooting them while they're on those tables. I mean, this is really a demonic regime that needs to be overthrown. And the United States has to do everything possible to set the conditions, because at the end of the day, it really will be up to the Iranian people. The United States could do a great deal to bringing down this regime, but at the end, the people in Iran, as difficult as it is, they need to rise up.
Okay, Harley, thank you so much. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Harley Lippman there. I can't help but think